Imagine having to walk 500 kilometers, swimming across major rivers, and crossing busy highways, all in search of food. Or what about walking between continents in just 76 days to find a place to call home? This may sound unimaginable, but it's a reality for many wildlife species who require huge intact areas to support their habitat and migration patterns. Today, we'll explore 3 remarkable journeys that highlight the vast distances animals travel and the critical importance of connected habitats and collaborative conservation efforts that transcend boundaries. But first, let's talk about Alice the moose. In 1998, researchers fitted a 700-pound female moose named Alice with a radio collar and released her into the Huntington Wildlife Forest in New York's Adirondack Park. For 2 years, Alice stayed within the park, but in 2000, she decided it was time for a change of scenery.
Alice the moose was the most famous moose in the world, possibly. She was part of a project that happened in the 90s where biologists at SUNY SF at Huntington State Forest wanted to reintroduce moose to the Adirondacks because moose had been locally extirpated back when there was a fur trade and logging and people hunted out moose for their meat.
Alice began a journey that would take her from the heart of the Adirondacks all the way into Ontario's Algonquin Provincial Park. She swam across the St. Lawrence River, becoming a Canadian citizen in the process, and even managed to cross Ontario's busy 4-lane highway, the 401. By winter, Alice had traveled an astonishing 570 kilometers, or 354 miles, navigating a complex landscape of forests, rivers, highways, and international borders.
Alice the moose left Huntington State Forest and moved north and followed a trail of her own making all the way up, across the St. Lawrence, and all the way up to Algonquin Provincial Park in Canada. And the radio collar worked this whole time. So the biologists were able to track and determine that, to get proof of concept that a moose could and would travel that whole distance.
Unfortunately, Alice's remains were found in Algonquin Park in 2001, but her legacy lives on. Her incredible journey inspired the creation of A2A, or Algonquin to Adirondacks, which is a collaborative multi-partner conservation effort to protect and enhance the unique habitat corridor linking these 2 iconic parks. A2A envisions a resilient, ecologically connected landscape that can sustain wide-ranging animals like Alice for generations to come. By working across borders and sectors, A2A has made significant strides, protecting thousands of acres of habitat, restoring wetlands and forests, and engaging communities in conservation. And if you want to learn more about A2A, you can check the description below. And while Alice's journey is incredible, we still have 2 more amazing stories to cover in this video, including our last story about a journey that spans multiple continents. But before we continue, I wanted to briefly discuss our paid partner for today's video, BetterHelp. I know firsthand how difficult it can be to operate in your day-to-day life when you don't feel your best. Working as an environmental scientist and researcher, I've consistently experienced eco-anxiety, imposter syndrome, and self-doubt. The tools and confidence I've gained from therapy have empowered me to create videos like these and connect with all of you. The majority of BetterHelp members seek support for anxiety, and 69% of members report improved anxiety symptoms after 6 weeks of therapy on BetterHelp. It's easy to start. Just fill out a questionnaire and you will match with a therapist as soon as possible. Easily switch therapists anytime at no extra cost if it's not the right fit. They carefully make sure therapists on the platform are well qualified, and their customer support team is there to help you if you have any questions. Let BetterHelp help you rule your anxiety so it doesn't rule you. Click the link in the description or go to betterhelp.com/David_Bysouth and get 10% off your first month of therapy. In the early 1990s, a wolf named Pluie, which means rain in French, showed biologists the true scale of wildlife movement. Fitted with a radio collar in Alberta's Kananaskis County in 1991, Pluie embarked on an epic journey that would see her traverse over 100,000 square kilometers or 40,000 square miles in just 9 months. This is an area 10 times the size of Yellowstone National Park and 15 times the size of Banff National Park. During her travels, Pluie crossed more than 30 different political jurisdictions, including 2 countries, 3 states, 2 provinces, private lands, various federal lands, and First Nations territories. She moves so quickly that at one point, researchers thought she might have hitched a ride on a pickup truck. Unfortunately, Pluie's wanderings came to an end in 1995 when she was shot in a legal hunt near Kootenay National Park. But her impact endures. Her story was a wake-up call, revealing that piecemeal protection is not enough to conserve wide-ranging species. To be effective, conservation must work at a scale of whole landscapes, going beyond borders to protect animals as they move.
While vital for conservation, parks and other protected areas aren't big enough to sustain wildlife and healthy ecosystems. With habitat loss and climate change, animals are increasingly limited in their movements. Connectivity conservation works to ensure healthy, connected habitats so wildlife can thrive.
And this revelation inspired the creation of the Yellowstone to Yukon Conservation Initiative, or Y2Y, an ambitious effort to connect and protect habitats along the 3,200-kilometer spine of the Rockies from Wyoming to Yukon. Since its inception, Y2Y has grown into a collaborative network of over 400 partners working to secure the long-term ecological health of this vast and diverse region. Recent analysis shows that habitat connectivity in the region has increased by an impressive 30% thanks to Y2Y's efforts. Now let's discuss a journey that is so epic it started on one continent and ended in another. So in 2018, a young Arctic fox left her birthplace in Norway's Svalbard archipelago and embarked on one of the longest dispersal events ever recorded for this species.
Incredible because it involves an Arctic fox. Norwegian researchers say this fox walked all the way from Norway to Canada, that's 3,500 kilometers, and then some.
Fitted with a satellite tracking collar by the Norwegian Polar Institute, this intrepid explorer traveled over 3,500 kilometers, or 2,175 miles, from Norway to Canada in just 76 days. So the fox began her journey in March 2018 on the sea ice off Norway's Spitsbergen Island. She walked nearly 1,512 kilometers, or 939 miles, across the frozen ocean, eventually reaching Greenland by mid-April. From there, she traversed another 1,994 kilometers, or 1,239 miles, over the next 2 months, crossing Greenland's ice sheet and arriving on Canada's Ellesmere Island on July 1st. What makes this journey even more remarkable is the blistering pace that the fox maintained. She averaged about 46 kilometers, or 28.5 miles per day. That's over a marathon a day. So the Arctic fox's fastest recorded movement rate was an astounding 155 kilometers, or 96 miles, in a single day over the Greenland ice sheet. This is the fastest recorded movement ever for an Arctic fox. Researchers believe the fox's journey highlights the critical role that sea ice plays in the migration of Arctic species. As climate change causes sea ice to dwindle, the long-distance movements of animals like this Arctic fox are becoming increasingly difficult, underscoring the urgent need to preserve these icy highways and support the important wildlife that use them. Unfortunately, the Arctic fox's tracking collar stopped transmitting in February of 2019, so her ultimate fate remains a mystery. But her incredible journey stands as a testament to both the remarkable endurance of wild creatures and the vital importance of maintaining connected landscapes in the face of a rapidly changing climate. So the epic journeys of Alice the moose, Pluie the wolf, and this Arctic fox underscore a fundamental truth. Wildlife need vast, connected landscapes to thrive. Isolated parks and protected areas, while certainly important, are not enough to ensure the long-term survival of far-ranging species. Animals need the freedom to roam across broad expanses in search of food, mates, and refuge from changing conditions associated with natural disturbance or climate change. Protecting and connecting these landscapes requires us to think big and act boldly, reaching across jurisdictional and sectoral boundaries to collaborate at an unprecedented scale.
It requires all of us working together to speak for those who can't, to fight for their homes. To connect landscapes, we must also connect people.
Initiatives like the A2A Collaborative and Y2Y are pioneering this approach, bringing together diverse partners to achieve a common vision of ecological connectivity. And again, if you want to learn more about either of these collaborative conservation efforts, check the links in the description. But this work is far from finished, and it will take all of us to see it through. No matter where you live, you can play a part in supporting connected landscapes. Learn about the conservation initiatives in your area, support the organizations leading the charge, and consider how your everyday choices impact the world around you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.